Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and I'm so sorry for being absent, but I've been unmotivated and lazy. But anyway, today let me bring to you some more travel vlogs of my trip to Beijing in September last year. And one of the most interesting places that I've always wanted to visit because I've seen it in C-drama so much is the Forbidden City, or in Chinese is called Ceng, which is the seat of government starting from the Ming Dynasty. So as you can see, here we are walking into the Forbidden City, and it's so huge. I couldn't believe my eyes. They actually in China have a complex built just for filming, and it is a very close or exact replica of the Forbidden City. I don't think it's like the entire Forbidden City, but the key buildings, so that they can do filming in there, because obviously you're not allowed to go into the halls anymore. I think according to my dad, like 20 years ago they could, but due to conservation purposes they have to limit, like we just can't go in anymore. We can probably peek through a door, but that's about it. And furthermore, you will see a lot of people dressed up in Qing Dynasty style clothing, which is the traditional clothing of Manchurians at the time. You know, like they are like court ladies who would live in the Forbidden City. And so during this time, the people who rule China is not Han Chinese, like I'm a Han Chinese descendant, but then the people at the time who ruled it is from an ethnicity group called the Manchus. And they are characterized by, you might have seen it, those long braids, and ladies who wore like those flower boards and on their head, like this lady here, this is her back, and you can see the entourage of photographers. And very interesting, if you look closely, maybe she doesn't have it, but I saw a lady, I didn't take photo of her, but she was even wearing the traditional shoes, which is a platform shoes with a very narrow bottom, and in Chinese we call it 花盆鞋, meaning flower vase shoes. And it's very narrow at the bottom, and they quite often need help walking, even though Manchus don't practice feet binding. And feet binding is a Han Chinese sort of tradition. It's quite cruel, but that's a story that you guys can go read about it. But they do still make women wear these teetering heels because it is considered as beautiful and dainty. And you will notice these very distinct red colored walls and pillars everywhere. And everywhere around the palace, which I never thought about, is fire risk. In those days, they don't have a fire department. I mean, they don't have hoses like we do now. They have huge bronze and iron containers of water dotted all around the place to put out fires just in case. It's because back in those days there's no electricity. Everything is flammable, I suppose, because they just use candles and oil lamps. But in winter time in northern China, which is where Beijing is, it's north side of China, it's very cold, so they'll have to make sure that these water doesn't freeze over. So there will be guards standing by tending to fires underneath these huge urns of water to keep it liquid. of the amazing painting up at the eaves. They're so beautiful, but I can see that it is such a big job for restoring these faded paints, and sometimes I can see that they only filled in every second tile rather than like everything. But it's just so beautiful to see this, yeah, intricate paintings on the eaves of these roofs. So this is called 综合殿 or Hall of Middle Harmony, where the emperor would receive homages from visiting dignitaries. From here I can see it's like they're sort of built in layers, and I think it feels to me like the bigger, the more important halls are like higher and higher as you go. But look at all this gold, or the kind of special tiles. I always see these carvings in the middle of staircases. They're just absolutely intricate and beautiful, and there are always bronze lions guarding an entrance to a building. Certain parts of the hall has been turned into museums, and there's just so many I guess like decorations or carvings. Look at this beautiful phoenix, or the plates that these royalties used to eat from. Quite often, if you watch a lot of C-drama, which I love, right, you'll see like these narrow, well, they're not that narrow, but corridors walking towards residences of the concubines or the empresses. Yeah, it's just important residences that I quite often see in C-drama. They're so intriguing, and finally I'm here seeing the real thing. But no, you're not allowed to go in. And so this must be a notable hall, and then you'll see that next to it there are Manchurian scripts next to the Han Chinese scripts. residence where the Empress Dowager Siqi lived during the late Qing Dynasty. So if you watched the Last Emperor movie, she will be featured in there with the child Emperor Puyi. Thanks for watching, everyone. Anyway, if you ever make it to Beijing, this is definitely one of the major landmarks to visit. Hoping to see you in the next video. Bye!